I will bring foreigners to my holy mountain. For my house will be called a house of prayer for all the peoples. Whereas we have this morning from the Gospel from the prophet Isaiah, chapter 56, verses 6 to 7. My house shall be called a house of prayer for all peoples. The passage we read from the first screen of today, taken from the book of prophet Isaiah, actually was provided a new twist, a turning point in the life of the people of Israel, especially regarding their relationship with foreigners. Foreigners in this sense would be migrants, refugees, settlers, and visitors. The new twist was that the people of Israel learned to accept, to associate, to live with, and to interact with foreigners in their midst. Before it wasn't that way, because the book of Deuteronomy provided a lot of laws and customs that actually regulated the relationship of the people of Israel with people around them, and then also forbid them from having direct contact with foreigners, because foreigners were seen as pagans, and as pagans they were considered evil. Even in the temples, foreigners were not allowed to come in to pray, to worship, or to participate in sacrifice. But something happened that made the people of Israel to change their idea, their mentality about foreigners. What did it happen? At a particular point in their history, they were taken into exile in Babylon. Now, this was for them a very painful and bitter experience, because being taken into exile means that they became foreigners in a distant land. That experience actually changed their mentality, their psyche, and also corrected the prejudice they had about foreigners. They discovered within that time that indeed foreigners were not just pagans, but also they were good, and they could also contribute, and they reached their host communities. So that actually corrected their mentality and their idea about foreigners. It was when they returned to their home that Isaiah gave them that message from the Lord, that God is saying to them that from this time going forward, that his house of prayer, the temple, is not going to be open for all peoples. There will be nobody who is going to be considered as a stranger or as a foreigner. That foreigners will now be allowed to offer sacrifices, to come to the holy temple, and also to get involved in the observation of Sabbath. I don't know if someone in your life, if have ever encountered someone, or has someone ever made you feel like a foreigner in a place where ordinarily you consider a home? Or have you, by your speech, attitude, actions or inaction, made someone else feel like he's a foreigner in a place ordinary person will consider or find comfort? I had a very interesting, funny experience. When I was doing my postgraduate studies in Switzerland, there was a need for a priest to go for an emergency pastoral supply in a particular diocese in Italy, nearby anywhere. So I volunteered to go because I was a little bit free at the time. 1 week after my arrival, some people showed up at the presbytery, and then I answered the door. The first question to me was, "Are you the foreigner?" I said, "Wow, that's the way to go." I didn't answer that. Intentionally, I kept calm. Obviously, my silence communicated to them immediately, and they rephrased the question. "Are you the priest who has come to help our sick priest?" I said yes, and then the conversation started. In all sincerity, that attitude was off-putting for me. Why would you say it to my face? Obviously, I know I'm a stranger, a foreigner, because at the time, I was still struggling with language. So why would you come to tell me, "Are you a foreigner?" Even if you don't know my name, you can actually say, "Are you the priest?" Because I'm in the presbytery. And for me, that presbytery for me was a home. But there I was being identified and also called a foreigner. But I don't hold any grudge against it because they did that in their own way. People have different ways of reacting or relating to foreigners. Some people will feel shy or nervous or anxious when they encounter foreigners because maybe they don't know the best way to begin communication or conversation with them or the best way to relate with them. Interestingly, some people will see foreigners as threats. People who have come to compete with us. People who have come to compete with us over our little resources or over a particular office. And in that sense, sometimes foreigners could be treated with envy and jealousy. Some people will also be utterly afraid of foreigners. Why? Because maybe they have had an ugly past experience in the hands of foreigners, or because of what they read in the newspaper or see in the television. So they will generalize it that all foreigners are like that man I met some time ago, that foreigner. Some people will also see the act of not welcoming foreigners into their circle or into their village or into their community or into their country as an act of patriotism. For them, we are protecting our country. We are protecting our village. We are protecting our small estate. We don't want people, foreigners to come in. So when we do what we do, we are doing it because we are patriotic. God in the first reading of the day says to Isaiah, go and tell the people of Israel to break every barrier, all limitations, and remove all prejudices against foreigners. Because now on going forward, I am throwing the doors of my temple open to all persons. People can come in and pray from their nationality notwithstanding. You see, there is this experience I've shared with you sometime. Most of you have read it also. Accessibility to God's house is not just about coming to worship or coming to pray. Accessibility to God's house in the first reading of today means that foreigners will now have access to governance, administration, to certain leadership positions. I remember with sadness a case where the Pope actually appointed a priest, a bishop, but the people in that diocese said no, we are rejecting the appointment by the Pope. Not because the priest so appointed is a bad person, not because he's not going to make a good bishop. We know his track record, he's good, but we're not going to allow him come into our space because he is a foreigner. He's not from our council area. And what did they do? They locked their cathedral up and said, Pope, with all due respect, change him and appoint somebody from our council because we don't want a foreigner to come and govern us. Does this kind of mentality still exist in the church? Even in a parish level, we think that certain people will not be admitted into certain leadership position, not because they lack competence, not because they cannot do it, but because of where they come from or because of how they look. Do we have such identity or such mentality? Even in the diocesan level, that certain offices could be reserved because people are considered basically from their nationality or their religion or their ideology. Jesus is saying today through his encounter with the Canaanite woman, people who will have access to God's house will not be based or judged again by nationality or by whatever human factor, simply by faith in God. Here at our own St. Anthony, I would like to believe that nobody here makes the other feel like a foreigner. Nobody here makes the other to feel like a guest. We have always said it. Here we try to see ourselves as one. Indeed, God has said it in the first reading that the doors of his temple, the doors of his church is open to all persons. Not just for people to come and pray, not just for people to come and worship, so that people will become participants, so that foreigners will now come to the holy mountain, no longer as foreigners, no longer as strangers, but as full human beings who have right of participation, who have right of being, who have right also of being regarded as members of that community. When the woman who encountered Jesus came to him, many scholars will consider that Jesus testing the woman's faith. Jesus said to her, you know, I have been sent to the house of Israel. And since you're from Canaan, this request you're asking is not for you because I am not for you guys. And you must say, okay, even if you are not for us, let me eat the scrap that comes from the table. No problem. And Jesus said, you have passed the test because I am not actually sent to the house of Israel. I am sent to all peoples. And therefore, what you ask is your right. I then give it to you and your daughter will be healed instantly. May we have in the church, whether on the parish level or in the diocesan level, and may we have in our communities also, build a network that will accommodate all peoples, that will look at people, I will see my brother, I will look at the other person, I will see my sister. That indeed, the house of God is now opened to all persons. As I said at the beginning, that particular experience of the people of Israel changed their sight and they started accommodating foreigners. Because before them, foreigners were for them people to be avoided. In this church, we don't avoid anyone, and nobody should avoid the other. This is a place where everybody becomes a member, where anybody is welcome, where we are one, and where the house is actually open, not just for worship, but for administration, governance, and